Some people lose slowly, not in one dramatic moment, but piece by piece, day after day, until they barely recognize themselves anymore. This is the story of a man who reached a point where he had nothing left to protect, and somehow that became the reason he finally changed his life. Daniel was already awake before the sun came up, not because he was productive, but because stress no longer let him sleep peacefully. Every morning started the same way: heavy eyes, heavy thoughts, and another silent reminder that his life was falling apart. He counted the little money he had left, even though he already knew the answer. It still wasn't enough. The calls from his mother kept piling up, so did the bills, and with every ignored notification, the pressure inside him only grew. He used to believe things would eventually work out on their own, but lately, even hope felt tired. There was a time when Daniel looked different. He smiled more, spoke with confidence. He actually believed he was building something meaningful. Now he spent most of his days hearing the same polite rejection in different voices. He kept comparing himself to everyone around him. Every stranger looked like proof that he had somehow failed at becoming an adult. The city kept moving forward without him, and that feeling slowly became unbearable. The landlord stopped him before he could even reach his room. The patience in the man's voice was almost gone. "You need to pay by next week, Daniel." Those words stayed in his head long after the conversation ended. That night, the electricity finally disappeared, and in the silence of that dark apartment, his fear became impossible to ignore. He looked through old memories like someone searching for proof that he used to matter to people. The more he watched everyone else's progress, the smaller his own life started to feel. For the first time in years, Daniel admitted something to himself that he had been avoiding for too long. He wasn't just unlucky, he had stopped trying. The mirror showed a man who looked defeated before the day had even started, and somehow that hurt more than the empty wallet. He didn't wake up transformed overnight. He just decided to do one small thing differently than another. He wrote down every get, every mistake, every excuse he kept repeating to himself. Seeing it all on paper made the truth impossible to hide. Most applications still led nowhere, but this time, he kept going even after the rejection emails arrived. He started taking small delivery jobs just to survive. The work was exhausting, but for the first time in months, he was moving again. Sometimes dinner was nothing more than a cheap sandwich under a cold streetlight, but deep down, he knew he was finally earning his way forward again. When he finally visited his mother again, she didn't ask about money. She only looked relieved to see him standing there. "Your life isn't over, Daniel," she told him. "You're just learning what struggle really costs." Those words stayed with him the entire ride home, not because they solved his problems, but because someone still believed he could change. He started waking up earlier, running before work, training his mind to stop quitting the moment things became uncomfortable. Between delivery shifts, he spent hours teaching himself new skills at the library, quietly, patiently, without telling anyone. There were nights his body wanted rest more than ambition, but he kept typing anyway. Change came slowly, so slowly that some days he couldn't even see it happening, but small disciplined choices were rebuilding his life one day at a time. Then one afternoon, a company finally called back, not with pity, not with rejection, with an opportunity. He walked into that building carrying years of failure behind him, but this time, he didn't walk in feeling ashamed. He stopped chasing quick success. He focused on consistency instead, showing up early, learning quietly, staying disciplined even when nobody noticed. Little by little, the overdue notices disappeared. The apartment changed, and so did the man living inside it. It wasn't luxury that made him emotional. It was simple things he once took for granted, like buying food without fear. The people around him noticed the difference before he fully did. The exhaustion in his eyes had slowly been replaced by peace. He once thought winning meant becoming rich overnight. But standing there now, Daniel finally understood something deeper. The real victory happened long before the success arrived. The moment he stopped giving up on himself. Sometimes life strips everything away before teaching us who we really are. The comfort disappears, the distractions disappear, even the people around us may disappear. But in that silence, some people finally discover the strength they were avoiding their entire lives. If this story stayed with you, remember this. Progress is often invisible in the beginning, but every small step still matters.